Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Supernatural Speak with BETH 316. I'll go ahead and apologize now. You're probably going to hear my dogs losing their minds just shortly, but I'll mute that as much as I can. Tonight we have Jill Shelley, amazing lady, and she's going to talk about an amazing location. Hey, Sherry, how you doing, baby?
Hey, good.
I'm very fortunate to be able to get you back on. I didn't quit. We got her back, so we had to reschedule. Because my life is nothing but technical difficulty. Hey, Leanne. Jason, is that you in Midnight Wolfpack? I'm sure it is. Well, we'll go ahead and jump in here. Jill has wears a lot of hats. Um, not only is she a location owner, she's one of our wonderful, dedicated medical staff that takes care of us and all this crap going on, but she's also an author. So whatever questions you guys may have tonight, please feel free to put them in chat and we'll get it moving. Hey, Bob, thanks for joining us. Hey, Kathy. I guess we'll start off. Jill, when did you get started in the paranormal? Was that with the purchase or you were already invested in the community before that?
No, I've kind of always been fascinated by the paranormal since I was a little kid. I was kind of like a strange little kid, I guess. Just kind of loved the ghost stories, just like to be scared, sitting in the dark, that kind of thing. And I had my first experience actually at my grandmother's house. Us kids and the cousins, there was one room we hated it. We just hated that room. It was cold. You always felt like nobody wanted you there. It just uneasy, just never liked it. And one night, I was spending the night at my grandma's house, and my parents were sleeping in the room next door. And I just woke up in the middle of the night, and I just heard these footsteps coming out of the room, and it stood in front of my door, like you felt it stop. And then my back was to the door, so you kind of felt like somebody was staring at you, like almost through you. Like if you kind of get that sense, when somebody's staring at you, you turn around and you're like,
Yeah.
but this was like super intense. And of course I'm a young kid, so I'm terrified. I'm not turning around. I don't want to know what's back there. You
Exactly.
know? And then you kind of heard like a sigh and then the footsteps, and then they turned around and went back into the room, and I could hear my parents snoring, so I knew there was no way it could have been them. Eventually kind of put the blankets over my head, hiding like a little kid, and just finally fell back to sleep. But in the morning I mentioned it, and my parents were like, no, no, we never got up. And then my grandma's like, oh honey, that's just a ghost and he's not going to hurt you. And
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh my gosh, if my grandma is saying don't worry about these things. So then I kind of got the bug then. I'm like, okay, now I gotta know everything about these things. I want to know, what is this all about? Um, so then we just kind of started, back in the day, just reading books and going to the library and any TV shows that had come out. And then with the advent of all the, paranormal investigating shows that have come out, I was like, oh my God, you can do this? This is what people can do.
Yeah.
And so then I was like in 2010, I just met a really great group of people who are into the paranormal, and we formed our group Sanctuary Paranormal, and started a journey into a whole new paranormal world and investigating and traveling all over.
And see, that's cool though. Like if grandma says it, it's like,
Yeah,
okay, grandma just gave permission and she's saying it's existing, so let's do it.
yeah, yeah. So I had a lot of respect for my grandma. So yeah, I guess that's just one of those things that just kind of always stick with you.
Well, that's a cool grandma. That's all I'm saying.
We never really spoke of ghosts or anything that since then.
Yeah.
Um, but it was just interesting, just that almost kind of just pushed you into that kind of realm and thoughts and stuff.
Well, yeah, because see, I said something to my grandfather before. I was like, hey, they had some situation going on at their house, and his only excuse for everything was, oh, it's a raccoon. Uh, what? So there's a raccoon in the bathroom. Okay. It was always the raccoon. And I was like, so I guess that might have just been his way of a raccoon's a ghost. I don't know. But, it's so much easier when you have someone in your life that'll, tell you not to be scared instead of, or you don't know what you're seeing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And
Oh,
we've had other clients too. We've done private homes as well, and you sometimes hear people say that, oh well, we think it's this, or the husband, is a non-believer, and so he's the one saying, oh, it's just this, it's the furnace kicking on, or they and
oh yeah.
I think they just try to like, you know, they don't want to deal with it or they don't believe in it, so they just have logical explanation for it. So we
Yeah, and
find
I
that,
think a lot of what I'm seeing right now is like the significant others are scared.
yeah,
So they're lashing out with the whole, no, they're just crazy. No, they're not crazy.
yeah,
Because they're the ones sending me footage. So if I can't explain it, I'm not going to say it's paranormal, but I can't explain it.
hmm,
But you can't say somebody's crazy. I mean, not everybody is. This is something we love to do, and I'm sure you do it because obviously you're a person that likes to help people.
yeah, yeah, and it was, that, and I would say too, 90% of when we're doing private homes, pretty much the first word out of people's mouths are, "I think I'm crazy," or "You're gonna think I'm crazy," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't think so." Just tell me, you know. I'm like,
You're
I
like,
can guarantee you're not. And so I think I bring them a little sense of relief too, um, because if I can prove they have something, then they're like, "Oh my god, I'm not crazy," and then they feel so much better, and
oh
then
yeah,
and they can move on. And we don't have anybody in our group that removes spirits or anything. We just try to teach our clients then how to live peacefully with these spirits. We really haven't dealt with anything demonic or evil. If we had felt something like that, we would totally tell that person that's out of our realm, and refer them to the proper person that could help them.
yeah, and see that's good to hear. There are some of responsible folks out here. I know some of us get a bad rap because there are other teams out here that, first off, I heard some stuff about people charging, and I couldn't believe that.
I did see that. It didn't surprise me though. I was like wondering someday. I'm like, that's somebody's gonna want to do it and try to cash in that respect. But
Yeah, and then you got the ones of us, we're just like you said, we're trying to bring some comfort. I really like what you said. That approach is a beautiful approach, like teaching people how to coexist.
right.
It doesn't always have to be a you've got to leave situation.
And we
And
seem to have a lot of success with that too, because I'll follow up with the people, and 99.9% of the time they're like, "Oh man, it is so great now." It just works out well for them. So that makes me happy because the spirits are happy and the people are happy, and
yeah, nobody thinks they're crazy anymore.
yeah, yeah.
And now, when did you come across the Boyd House?
That was about 2 years ago. So traveling around all these well-known haunted locations kind of gave me the idea of, hey, I'd like to have a place of my own. And then financially, 2 years ago, I was able to do so. And so I just kind of was going on the MLS because you can't just, hey, whose house is haunted for sale? It just doesn't really come up.
Exactly.
It doesn't come up that much, in search of haunted house. Um, so my realtor knew what I was doing. I did kind of the research, and she just kind of set things up for me. But I, just kind of did an MLS search on based on the, price, and I didn't care where in the state it was. It was just price and age. I went from like 1700 to like 1930, and the Boyd House came up, and I fell in love with the pictures right away. I was like immediately drawn to this house. I don't know what it was. It was just like I kind of knew, how like this is the one. That's exactly
Yeah.
how I was with that house before I even had looked at it, and physically looked at it. And so I went and set up the time to go take a look at it. Me and Donna, one of my team members, had come to go with me, and the realtor was running late, so we were just sitting outside, and it was winter, tons of snow, and it was cold. So we were just
Of
sitting in
course.
our car, staying warm, and all of a sudden I kind of got this feeling like someone was staring at me from my attic window, and I mentioned it to Donna, and she's like, yeah, I've been kind of feeling that way too, so. And then we kind of walked around a little bit, and you almost kind of had like, you almost like felt like somebody was like following you through the windows, like what are you doing, um, and he kind of got that standoffish feel when you were there, like you knew something was there. It wasn't like evil, it was more apprehension, I would say, was
Yeah.
kind of the feel, and like somebody watching you from afar, and but yet curious. Um, so we did get on the spirit box. We got "Who are you?" It was a woman saying that, which makes sense because nobody's really tried to talk to these spirits before. And the REM pod upstairs went off within 8 minutes of being there, so we got that, and just a couple more good spirit box responses. So I reached out to a medium friend of mine that I really trust, and she said that there were six spirits there. There was a man there, some children, and a couple of women. And as we've had investigated further, now that I own it, we are confirming a lot of the things that she had told me. And I really didn't tell her anything about the house. I just said, "Can you tell me, are there spirits here?" And then I
Oh,
thought, well, okay, so should I just go on this? Okay, I'm going to ask the owner. I'm going to see what the owner says. Um, and they had lived there for a really long time. They had lived there like 30 years, and they
oh
rose
wow.
and raised a family there. And they didn't want to talk about it too much because they were kind of they're older couple, and you know how back in that generation, if you talk about these things, you're nuts.
Yeah.
So she very hesitantly said that she did have some strange things at the house, that she would hear old time music playing. She just said, as she quoted, which I think is an awesome quote, is "I always thought that house was a little funny," is what
Oh,
she
I love it.
said. And so then the kids had some experience, and they actually had seen a man a couple times. I've actually since gotten to know one of the daughters of the owner who grew up there, and she told me stories that there's a lot of people who had been touched in the house, that just a lot of different experiences. It wasn't like crazy active, but they chose not to engage as well. So I think they just kind of had that happy medium. But
Yeah.
she said, yeah, there's a couple times that I'd see a man in the hallway. Like I'd wake up in my bedroom and look up the wall, and there'd be a man standing there. And then we actually showed her a picture of who one of the spirits we believe lives there based on some of the information we've received investigating, named Fred. And we showed her his picture, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's him."
Wow.
Yeah. So she's had some stuff go on. So with that, I ended up purchasing the house, and yeah, it's just been crazy. It's been a fun ride though.
I mean, I love it though because you are able to validate so much. I mean, you're actually getting information that some people can't about their locations. And you're taking that step to make sure that the right stories are told.
Yeah, and
And
I
I think
really,
that's beautiful.
yeah, I really like that because we are verifying things, and also the other investigators are too. So I feel like all of us are working together to find out who's there, what's there, why is there.
Yeah.
Because we do get a lot of stuff. Like I do have some of the stuff with the Eckhart family, and proof that they're there, that they died there, and but I come up with a lot of other names, and so do other people, and I don't know. We're it was an old railroad town back in the 1800s, and
Okay.
our deed actually goes back to 1884, and the land was owned by the railroad. And then eventually, different town founders owned the land, and then eventually it was the house was built, and the most information I have is in like 1912, even though the house was built in 1901, is that the family, Fred and Minnie Eckert, had moved in there with their couple of their children, and two of them died in the house. One was like around two, and he choked to death. And then they also had one die in infancy. Both Fred and Minnie died in the home. I also have a lady named Anna, who passed away in the home as well. So I think we have like five confirmed deaths in the house now. All nothing super tragic other than the children. Um,
Yeah.
but because we're right on the railroad, the tracks pretty much go right through our backyard. I think that draws in a lot of energy, as well
Yeah.
as just doing the investigating. I feel that creates energy and a beacon for other spirits to come to. The town was a wild west town back in the day. You have pictures of the town with the it looks just like out of a western. The horse-drawn movies. They had saloons and bars, and the house
Oh
itself
wow.
located kitty corner from the town. It's just a hot, it literally takes like a minute and a half, if even, to walk across the street and you're in town. So, the house probably saw a lot of action. There used to be a blacksmith across
Ooh.
the street. And then very close, the Sioux Dakota reservation line was right on the edge of town. So there's a lot of history that's probably happened that wasn't even tracked, because I'm having a hard time. I mean, I'm getting some stuff from the very late 1800s information on the house and the land, but beyond that, I mean, there's like nothing, you know. So
Yeah.
who knows what some of the names we're getting, or some of the energies, or and plus
Wow.
we have
That's amazing.
a lot of antiques and things that we have brought into the home may as well have brought
Yeah.
energy.
I mean, it sounds like now I got to get up there even more. I'm obsessed with the Wild West. I'm kind of corny, but big Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, um, big on Frank and Jesse James. But
Hmm.
you sound like you have like an epicenter of activity coming from all different kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean we get crazy stuff. I mean we've gotten even just at the house we got EVPs of kids and men and women. I've had objects moving, people getting touched, shadow figures. My husband's actually seen a woman on this earth. He's like, she was maybe like 18. He couldn't tell. He said it was so quick. A flash of a woman on the stairwell. Just all kinds of things. Great equipment interaction. I think they're learning more on how to work the equipment, because I feel like when you go to well-known haunted locations, they've seen this equipment 100 times now, if not whatever. So they're like, oh, we
Yeah,
know that. But in my case, you know, they've
they're bored. They're all bored at those locations.
yeah, and in my case, they've never really been wanted to be interact with. Like nobody's actually come in and talked to them. So I come in all the time, and we spent probably a good 2 months getting the house ready, cleaning, kind of doing some renovations, just getting things ready, and I would talk to them all the time, and explain this is a REM pod, and this is and for the longest time I wasn't getting anything, and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe this house is not haunted, maybe I've made a mistake, and like, so it took a little bit to get going, but I think there was one day, maybe like a month into it, I was just in the kids' bedroom, and I had set up a little REM bear in there. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys, you just have to tell me that you're here. I said, I'll bring you more presents. And I'm like, people will bring you presents. You'll get all kinds of stuff, but you got to let me know you're here. And that night, that bear did not stop. He was on and off half the night. And then since then, I don't know if they trust me. Um, a really cool EVP a team had gotten, and this was maybe the second or third team that had ever come into the house. Like one of their first EVPs that they got, like shortly after getting there, was, "Where's Jill?" So it's like, oh my God, they missed
Wow.
me. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Because it makes perfect sense what you're saying. Nobody had ever communicated with them. They
Yeah, and
didn't
yeah,
know
they did.
how to, and it makes perfect sense. Like, think about it. You go into, let's say we go into, we'll just say Virginia City. We sit there and we're in the middle of the street and we're like, yo, Wyatt Earp, talking to this. And he's like, what the hell is that? Or they're like, what do you
Yeah,
mean? Like, I mean, there's like, you have to explain, hey, this is this and this is what it does. And if you do this, and they know that you came in and that's your home, and they're like, she's here to communicate with us and take care of us.
hmm
And I'm sure that house was had a lot of love in it before, and that's, I'm sure that's why they're there.
oh yeah, yeah. I know a lot of the family that's there, and which would be the Eckhart, you know, and I'm always asking different things, like what do you want me to do, what can I help you with, gifts, things like that, and just from a lot of times other people doing investigations, they might get an answer to that, but they weren't allowed be able to do that because they weren't there at the time. So I'll bring that gift because I heard about it. Um, just recently, I found out that Mr. Eckert back in the day loved Life magazine from the 1940s. So I bought some and I brought those down the other last weekend when I was down there. So it's just just different things that I do, and I always thank them all the time. Thanks for interacting with everybody. They love it. I love it. Um, just you name it, you'll get it from me. Well, I suppose I can't really promise all that, but I
But you
try to do
try.
what I can. I try to do what I can. I actually just had some psychics that were there, and they said that the child wants his stuffed elephant back, so now I have to go buy me one of those. So
Like anyone that has a stuffed elephant that they'd like to donate to the Boyd House for the baby,
there you go.
um, you can contact Jill and you can send it on up. So there's babies that want some toys, people, and I'm sure we have plenty of toys they can have. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
They do
awesome.
have, yeah, they do have a lot of toys. Actually, it was kind of funny because the other day I went when we were just locking up to leave, and it's winter now, so I keep the one door closed because of the cold, but checking in on everything. I'm like kicking and stepping on all these toys. I'm like, dang it, you kids need to clean up these toys.
And the bad thing is when you come up and you come back and they've cleaned the room and you're like, oh my.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be a good one. But yeah, I've only had a card. I had decided to play a poker game in the basement, and I brought these all of these coins from the 1900s, and then a really big gold coin. I'm like, this is the grand prize coin right here. And I would go down and I had put a REM pod on that table too, and that for like 6 hours it went on and off. Of course, you'd run downstairs and it would stop. And then you go back upstairs about
Of
25
course.
minutes later, it would go back on, and you're like, oh come on, so, Um, so that was going on, but I kept shuffling the cards, and I always had one card that I pushed to the edge. It was never hanging over the edge; it was just right to the edge, and it was separate from all the cards. And I just said, "Hey, if you're having a great time playing cards tonight, just push that off the table. That'll let me know you were enjoying the card game this evening." And then I think about like 11:30, I came down for my last shuffle. Like, I don't even know how to play poker, but I'm like 5 cards, low, high, dealing, and I'm just, spreading cards around. So I'm like, okay, once again, throw this off. Tell me you had a great time tonight. And I came down there in the morning, and that card was laying on the floor. I was so
Well,
excited.
they enjoyed it.
And the best part was that I captured that on film because
Wow.
it was about 15 minutes after I had left the room that they had thrown that card on the floor. And then we had another paranormal team, paranormal investigators in northern Minnesota. So they come to the house quite often, and they're working on a documentary about it right now. Um, they've actually had the card thrown off in front of them. So they went down there to kind of replicate the card game, and
Wow.
it went flying off. And then we've had another team, I can't remember their name, which I apologize for that, but they played 21 with the K2 meter down there. So it would just sit there, and they're like, "Do you want to hit?" And then it would hit for hit, and like that ghost was winning. He got 21 one time, and then they'd get it. They're like, "Hey, got 17, hit or stay," and it wouldn't go. And then so yeah, so it's like it literally was playing 21 with them.
That is an awesome idea. I've
Yeah,
never even thought of that.
I would have never thought of that either. So that was really cool to see, because it kind of
I mean,
validated it.
yeah, I mean, that's awesome that you caught it on film, what you caught too. I mean, obviously they didn't know you didn't know what you were doing. They had a good time. Hey
Yeah.
guys, I'm sorry I didn't mention y'all. Vicky, Nikki, Todd, Denise. I think I saw Nikki on here somewhere too. Yep. Thanks for joining us. If y'all have any questions for Jill, you can put them in the chat. Vicky says she's gonna try that. Yeah. Hey man, let's do it at the Old Stone Jail, Vicky. That's an awesome idea.
Yeah. Especially in the
Now
jail because they like to play cards.
you're gonna have us everywhere playing poker. Like everybody's gonna be like, "Hey guys, meet at the haunted location. We're gonna play poker."
That's right.
Now, and how do your investigations work? I mean, do you do overnight, daytime stuff, or for teams?
Yeah, we just do private overnight paranormal investigation so that the team can come in at 3 p.m. and then they can spend the night, and we give them up till noon the next day.
Oh
And
wow,
kind of
that's
do it.
awesome.
Yeah, I feel like it gives you some time to get in, set up, maybe have a little dinner, then plenty of time to investigate, and enough time to catch a couple sleeps if you need to before you head back out on the road. So try to make good time and usage for everybody, and um, we just do it's 175 a night. So we try to make it reasonable as well for everyone, so they can just contact us if
Sherry,
you're interested.
Sherry, no strip poker. You've been hanging out with Melvin. You better quit. I love you. I mean, and I think that's I mean, I understand like some locations can't do that, but that gives it that homey feel. Like you're comfortable when you go in to investigate. You're able to relax. There's not really a lot of time constraints. Um, think about if you're just sitting there, it's breakfast time. Do some EVPs while you're eating breakfast. You never know what you'll get.
Oh yeah, I actually when we go there, and it's I know it's very time consuming and very we turn it on from the time we're there to the pretty much the time we go home. It's
Yeah,
on constantly. We do that when we investigate. Some people are like, "Oh my God, you have so much to listen to." Not to mention, we also probably have like 20 of them sitting out somewhere. So now you got 20 of these things to listen to that are 15 hours long. But I mean, there's times like if I didn't have it in that room, I wouldn't have caught something. And so to me, it's worth to get it because when you get stuff, it's so awesome. But
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I would, I would do the same thing. I'm probably not gonna lie. I probably like my life would consist of waking up, listening to EVPs, going back to sleep, waking
yep.
up, listening to more. Because there's nothing like that. I mean, and I don't know about other investigators, but I don't care what it is, how many times you get something. Every time you get something, it's like the first time. It's
Oh yeah,
like I'm like a kid, like, oh my God, Uno. I
yeah. Sometimes you're
just
doing the
leave them.
EVP, you're doing that work, and then you're like, oh, this is so boring. And then you get an EVP, and you're like, okay, I'm back on it, I'm back on it, and you get all excited for
Like
12
I
hours.
was bored, but I'm back.
Yep.
And, and I think that's some of the best, that I've ever gotten was it was a little boy and I left my phone on a voice recorder and I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave. You know what this is. We've talked about this before. I'm gonna leave it right here. And if you have anything you want to say, I'm gonna come back and get it and I'll be able to hear you. I left it for like 35 minutes. I went back and got it. You can hear me walking away and I'm saying, all right, I'll be back. And then you don't hear me anymore. So about 20 seconds after that, you hear a little boy, ah, like singing, and I'm like, "What the hell just happened?" Yes, jackpot. So never was able to recreate that, but and I've gotten lots of Class A EVPs, but that one was just so exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, to one person they'll be like, "Oh wow, so ooh, yeah," but did you not understand? I said whatever, and I'm not even gone a minute.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, so and then having your own location, there's so much. I don't think a lot of people understand the responsibilities. And before I forget, I have another show called Wicked Women of the Paranormal. It's a platform for women, and so I give you a lot of respect because there's not a lot of women out there that are location owners, and people don't realize the time that you have to put into that along with your normal life.
Oh, definitely. Actually, we just were talking about that this weekend. We went down there and we got there at 1 o'clock and we got done working at 9 p.m. By the time we're cleaning and we had some projects to do, my husband said, "You know what? You're no longer the investigator. You're the caretaker here." And he's kind of right. I mean, I
Yeah.
get my EVPs and I maybe get like sometimes I'll just be like, I'm going to run a spirit box session for a little bit, but I don't get to do what I really want to do. Every time I go down, I'm like, okay, well, we really don't have that much to do. And then like 8 o'clock, we're like, okay, that was full day work. So,
Like, let's go home and go to sleep now.
Yeah, I said, no, we sleep there. But, yeah,
Look, this is definite. I told you before. I definitely, I've never been up as far. The furthest I've ever been is Maryland. I've never. That's the farthest north I've ever been. Well, and in Indiana, I've never been any further than that.
yeah.
So definitely, when it's time to come up that way, I'm coming to see you first.
Well, that's like,
Um, because it's, I think a lot of people, well, people that aren't investigators, those people that just want to go out and have a good time, say they did it, or they want to get scared shitless. I'm just being honest. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it
yeah,
all.
yep,
Um, it's so nice to be able to go to a location that is peaceful and just be like, let me meet the family.
yeah. We don't have, you'll get the gentle interaction, but you're not going to get, we don't have anything evil. We don't have anything demonic. We've had people like get their feet touched at night or maybe a little tug on the blankets. Um, the
Yeah.
first the first night that Donna and I stayed there, so we were like the second time we stayed there. The first time it was me and my husband because I actually bought the house without him seeing it. So I thought he should be the first one to see it.
Surprise,
Here
honey.
he signs the papers and everything, and I'm like, "You're buying a house you never saw, ha ha ha!" And he was just like our joke and stuff. But, so the second time Don and I stayed there, and so we didn't have much furniture at that time, so we had air mattresses blown up in the main living room. And she said that she woke up in the middle of the night because she felt something crawling into bed with her. And she looked over thinking it was me. She's like, I thought you got scared. I'm like, first of all, when have I ever crawled into bed with you? Because I was scared. She goes, well, I don't know, but I looked over there and you were just sleeping away. So I was like, all right. And then she's like, so I was just like, well, if you want to come on in, come on in. And she's like, they kind of scooted in a little bit. She's like, it felt like a child, not like not like an infant, but she said maybe like 4 or 5 years old, like
Yeah.
that body size. Because she loves kids and she's a grandma and she just loves all that stuff and so she's not afraid of any of that. So um, that was her first experience, and and that's continued with other investigators. It doesn't happen every time, but I have had a lot of people say,
But that's cool though. I mean, and that's what it's all about. I mean, I don't want to go like to every location where somebody said someone was thrown off a cliff, or
yeah,
you know, I want to go to those kind of places too. I mean, I'm trying to get past, like, well, like for instance, Rosemont in Gallatin, Tennessee. It's a very peaceful. I mean, the judge will come across and talk to you. Yeah, yes, Mark, I agree with everything going on right now. We do need some peaceful hauntings. And I don't think people, and I know there's going to be a lot of people like, what the hell is Beth talking about? Some of those spirits, they just want to comfort us. Um, it's not like, oh, they're trying to scare us, or sometimes I think they truly do comfort us when we least expect it. And hey, I fully agree, Mark, that, you know, I think a lot of it too of with last year, the ones of us that didn't really slow down with investigating, I think we probably would have went nuts if we had not been investigating. And I mean the good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, I think I kept saying, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna take a break. Yeah, here I am. No, it hasn't stopped. It's
yeah. I was
an
I was kind of the same way. Our team, we have a couple of people that are immune compromised, so we didn't haven't seen each other for a very long time. I fortunately had the opportunity to get down to my house and do that kind of situation. But everybody's itching to get out. So we did plan 3 trips this year, just hoping things are better and if we just stay in our group and such. So
yeah.
yeah,
You see,
we're
very smart.
seeing each other. So
I'm not very smart. I'm high risk, and I was like, but they're it's my para family, so it's not
right,
like we're around each other. So it's like, okay, you're around family. It is what it is,
right.
and things happen. But I think I would have been like, okay. I mean, I was down for a little while with my knees, and I probably shouldn't be up on them now. But it's like, okay, Beth, it's time to go. Well, I'm walking on a cane. Ah, hell, somebody bring a wheelchair. Let's go. I mean, yeah, yes, I have slowed down, Mark. It's rough. There's quite a couple people in here will tell you it. Yes, Vicky and Vicky Norris. Yes, you're another one. She took a break. It lasted 3.5 weeks, and I don't even think it lasted that long, to be perfectly honest. So you're right, Todd. Break what break? It is what it is. But it's because of people like you that we get to keep moving, that have the locations, and I don't think people understand you can't do all the renovations and preserve that history without help. It's That's a huge task to take on.
Yeah, it costs quite a bit of money. I know some, places, or I wouldn't say places, but I would say a lot of people think that, oh, look at all the money they're getting, and it really not. And I'm sure it's for most businesses too, because you're barely covering the expenses or just maybe a little bit over. So, and I don't think I'm not really in it for the profit, because if that's the case, I could charge a lot more money for the house and the nights. I want
Yep.
to make it reasonable. I want people to come in. I want them to come and investigate, and to have a good time, and then we can learn with each other of all the information at the house. Um, and with the money that I do take in, we've done a lot to the inside. We've put a new roof on. We got to get gutters on because there's some stuff rotting on the outside, so we got to get that put on. So it's just a few things to get going that are costly, and just always putting stuff in the house. I'm always buying everything, furniture, antique shops. I get crazy
Yeah.
ideas. I swear if I come together,
Kids.
we're gonna wallpaper this. I think my husband's gonna shoot me. But so
Well, guys, just remember, we're gonna work something out. I'll make sure at the end of the show, I'll have Jill's info so we can send her toys if we want to, and I'll put that out there for you guys because the babies need toys.
yes, they do like their stuff. Yeah, when we do come
Yeah.
down there, sometimes I find new stuff. I'm like, oh, what's this? It's like, and then I start playing with it because I'm like, well, what does it do? So it's like,
Yeah. Especially
but
if you have a stuffed elephant. If you have an elephant,
yes, yes, somebody want. I don't know who, but one of the children want one.
like we're all about the kids, the living ones and the ones that aren't. But the kids are kids.
Yeah. Well, I actually, no, this is funny. So for Christmas, I asked for a dollhouse. And my husband he just thought, it was for down at the house. He knew this, but
Yeah.
he had no idea that I was trying to make it into an exact replica of our current house. So, so he did find me a because I wanted a Victorian style type dollhouse. And so he got that, and I have now pretty much completely turned it into. I got the same wallpaper. It's crazy that the furniture is exactly the same as what I have at the house. So it's been easier to find, because
Wow.
they had green wingback chairs and stuff, for dollhouse furniture, because that's what I have in the parlor. And they actually had a chandelier that looked almost exactly like my chandelier. This is like crazy. So I've been like making this dollhouse. He's like, I think he said it was the Hereditary movie. He's like, are you trying to replicate that? So
I mean, it's amazing that you were able to do that. I mean, exactly the same.
oh yeah, even it's the colors, and well, I've been painting it, so making it that way. So so we got the peach room. And, I never knew they made like Oriental green rug dollhouse rugs, because I'm like, that's what I got, and it's like the pattern's almost identical. I'm like, this is crazy. So
Sorry,
yeah,
my son wanted to stop in and drive me crazy. I'm sorry.
but yeah, so we're excited to get that down there, and just put. I think I'm just gonna put like a K2 meter and a motion sensor on it, and see if the kids light anything up when I bring it down there. So I've been telling them it's coming, so
That's
I'm
awesome.
prepping them. So they're probably gonna get all excited.
Like you're about to get a whole lot of stuff, kids. We're gonna make sure of that. I mean, and I've thought of, I have got grandkids. I have thought of every toy I possibly could have think of to take on a paranormal investigation. I'm like, oh, can I borrow your toy? And I got grandkids looking at me like, for what? And I'm like, "Well, I can't tell them for what. Well, Granny's gonna be bored, and I need something to play with. Okay. I'm like, I'll bring it right back.
Oh, my favorite one is my grandson. It was like a really hot summer day, and I was going to do investigation after work. So I didn't want my equipment sitting out in the hot sun. So I dropped it off at my daughter's house, and I picked it up after work. And as I'm hauling all this stuff back out to my car, and he must have been like, I don't know, maybe 5. And he's like, Grandma, be nice to the ghost, and they'll be nice to you. So I was like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, that's a new shirt right there.
Yeah.
Oh my lord, that is cute. And and we don't know. I tell people all the time, kids see all kinds of stuff. I mean, animals, the whole nine. Like
Yeah.
another one of my favorite tools is a cat ball.
Oh yeah, the ones that light up when they get touched. Oh,
Yeah.
yep, yep. I just got some of those. I haven't had that go off yet. Another team did at the Boyd House. They did get them to go off. So it's just hit or miss. You're not gonna do it every time, but yeah, I'll get them to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I've had it to the point where it took them. You know how it takes you a minute when you see different stuff. You're like, a cat ball, seriously? Um, it's nothing. I mean, it's got. Well, I set the ball down at the very end of the hall, and I know that there was a child there, and I was like, hey, um, can you roll me that ball, honey? No sooner than I turn my head this way, and there's people standing behind me watching intently. Out of nowhere, phew, flying down the hall at me. Like I was like, okay, there might be something to this cat ball thing. I've got to buy like 4. And I'm like, okay, new toy for adults. Um, Another thing I wanted to make sure that I talked to you about is now you have what, 2 books out,
No, I don't have any books out.
or
No.
you're writing one?
No, not currently. No, some company had got a hold of me about doing something, but we haven't.
Okay,
Yeah, everything's in the
that's what
works.
it was.
Yeah.
I was wondering because I was like, I thought she wrote a book, but then I remembered like halfway through, I'm like, no, she was talking about somebody wanting to do it.
Right, right. Yeah, I just haven't we haven't narrowed things down quite yet. We're in negotiations right now.
Well, I hope to see when the documentary comes out, and then they're still doing that, right? It's
Yeah, they're still doing that. I did my own little documentary that you can find on our Facebook page or also on YouTube under our paranormal channel, the St. Croix Paranormal. There's
okay.
like a little mini documentary that I have. It's got a little bit of history of the house and the town, and then as well as different investigation or interviews with teams and people who have investigated. Some of my first 4 people that have come in for first 4 teams, pretty much, and their evidence that they have captured. And it's kind of a
Oh wow.
little tour of the house. I kind of take you around, tell you some of the hot spots and what's going on, and so it's just kind of a little fun thing. I got into video production probably about 8-9 years ago, just for fun. So we would just create our own little TV shows for our places that we investigated. So we called it Paranormal Patrol. And it actually aired on a local cable channel here in Stillwater for a long time, but then
Wow.
and then we kind of quit going places as much, so I kind of ran out of material to do. So,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
but,
Gotcha.
but
And
we
and
yeah, I kind of like it because it's a nice little keepsake of all of our trips that we've been on. So it's and I just love it. I just love putting videos together, especially like when I get some time to investigate at the Boyd House and get stuff. I will put it out there, and so I just have fun putting stuff together.
well, it's great memory too. I mean, like, a lot of people don't realize, that's something that can be passed down too. I
Right.
mean, it is what it is. Like, that's something our grandkids can have later on down the road. My kids joke with me all the time. They're like, the grandkids are going to be like, oh, Granny was a ghost chaser. I'm like, ha, 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 you're so nice.
Yeah. Well, and then
But
too, I didn't get my mom. She was back more in the day when we didn't really take videos or have videos. We didn't have the phones like we did, and she's now passed, and we have very very little film footage of her. And now like you say, my grandkids, my daughter, they can just go on YouTube and there's grandma. So
Yeah, yeah. And then I mean, I've had a couple of incidents with I thought it was my granddaughter's father, but then I figured out when I started reading the message, I'm like, why are you on my show? She got hold of his Facebook and was watching the show. I was like, no, you can't watch this one, honey. Sorry. Granny got a bit of a potty mouth sometimes. Yeah, I'll do a separate show just for you. But it's great. I mean, and, like you said, you got into it for fun. Who knew it was going to be useful?
yeah.
You're like, man, I'm glad I did that. Like, I think of the technology now just over the past few years. I used to put stuff together and now I can't get that same software. And I'm like, the learning curve is horrible. I'm like, oh my God, I'm old. I can't figure out how to use this program.
Oh yeah, trust me, I'm very technology. I always joke. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I do all this video production, but I can't work a cell phone. So it's just kind of that catches on, and I have a lot of technical issues. My husband's a little bit more savvy at it, so a lot of times I'm like, here, make it work.
You fix this. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm not going to lie. The struggle is real. I'm still trying to figure out how to use TikTok.
yeah, yeah. I know. I was just asking somebody about that today. I'm like, so, like, how do you use that? So
Yeah, I even tried today. I was like, okay, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe later.
yeah.
Maybe another day.
I always wonder too, like maybe in a couple hundred years from now, the investigators from now, maybe they won't be using REM pods. They're like, here, text me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I keep teaching. We're going to teach. That's the new thing. We're going to teach spirits how to text. And if we actually get one, I'm done. I will quit. I will quit that day. I'll be like, okay, if you want to leave me a message and I come back and find a message, that's it. I'm done. My job is done. There's no need to go any further. Um, what are you only weekends? Are those your only private dates that you have open, or do you do any day of the week?
No, you can come any day of the week. That's open and available. Holidays, weekends, weeknights. As long as we have space available, we're open year round. We have heat. In the summertime, we have just 2 window air units. It's not super great, but it takes the stickiness out and it keeps you a little cooler. So
That might be the dream location, people. They've got heat and air.
yes, yes, and 2 bathrooms. So there's a bonus there too.
Oh, and they work. Oh, yes. Oh, maybe they'll come out with a bionic eye to see them and an earpiece to hear. Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah. Vicky, I could see that, and I need them to hurry up because I'm not getting any younger. No, not at all. But there's always going to be, like you said, there's going to be something new. I mean, I've been watching some things, and I'm just like, I'm seeing the tech that people are putting together, and these are people that this is not their chosen field, and they're putting stuff together for us. And I'm just like, how did you think of that?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's some of the stuff I'm like, what is that? What does it do? And then you're like, oh my god, that's really cool. I gotta have that. So
Yeah, I'm obsessed with the Paralight, completely obsessed.
yeah.
Um, and now he's released a new one. But when he showed this new bear that he's working on,
Mm.
okay, I said I don't know how many corners I'm gonna have to get on, but I need one of those bears.
Yeah, yeah. We need a new bear because ours died, and we're really sad about that.
Well,
Because
and
we
then
had the
Brian,
very first prototype of the Boo Bear when it first came out,
okay,
and that was for me hands down. Because then they came out with one that talks all the time, and I didn't like that. It was too talky, and I don't like the Boo Junior Bear. I think he's a little. Um, so we had this one, the very first prototype, and we named him Wally. He finally died just like 6 months ago, so we probably have to have a burial or something for him. So
yeah, he needs a proper burial.
yeah.
And I can't remember Brian's last name, but he is a narwhal that
Oh
he
yeah,
has set up.
yeah. I think I
I
saw that. Yeah, he showed me that.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
I sent him a message and I was like, "Hey, hope you're doing good. I'd love to have you on the show. By the way, let me know when you have the narwhals ready because I want one." And he was like, right? Because it was super cool.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for reminding me because I forgot about that. I told him I want to get some stuff from him too. So he makes some
Yes,
cool.
I love him. He is hysterical too. Like I'm
He
like,
was. Yes, he totally was. I was talking to him, so it was a good time.
oh, I like. Let's see. Let's look at this comment. I had a close friend that took her life. I went to the funeral, and during the funeral, my phone was vibrating. It was a call from my deceased friend. Holy crap!
Wow, I've heard of that happening. Yep.
Okay, yeah, like no, nothing scary about that at all, Mark. I mean, and I'm one of those people that swear I see people moving. So, um, we might need to get together and talk about that. That's I don't think I can handle that.
Yeah.
That would I don't and as a paranormal investigator, you would think I handle death a little better than I do, but I really don't.
Yeah. Well, it's not an easy thing, like you said, we study it and we're familiar with it, but when it's confronted face to face, it's a whole nother ballgame, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean it's they're like, and I've actually had someone say something to me about it before. They're like, you're a paranormal investigator and a couple of other things, right? I'm like, well, yeah. Well, doesn't that make it easier? No, it does not. I mean, that's just like people say you can prepare yourself. You can't prepare yourself to lose someone that you've known your whole life.
Right.
I mean, it's not. My mom had that happen to her after her boyfriend died. I was there and saw it pop up on her phone. Heather, really? Okay, that's a whole other show.
Yeah.
People get in touch with me. Um, that's a
I've heard of that happening. Some people say they don't, pick it up and the line's dead, or sometimes they hear that static, like you would on a spirit box kind of thing. So I mean,
yeah,
I've never had it happen, but I've heard of that's what other people have experienced. So I think that's kind of cool. They're just reaching out, I would say maybe to buy one last time.
yeah. I mean, I've heard of it happening like after like it was what was it? It was a murder case, or missing persons, but it ended up turning into a murder case, and it was like they had been missing 6 months, and the mother had still had her daughter's items, and she plugged in the phone to charge it to pull pictures off of it, and it rang back like from she was calling her own phone from her own number, and I
Wow.
was like, "What in the hell?" Heather said she was too scared to answer. Plus, he was a jerk. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have answered either, girl. I'm just saying. Well, I'm going to let you tell everybody a little bit about your team and where they can find you and all your social media stuff.
Yeah, if you want to check stuff out, you can go to stcroixparanormal.com. That's got some information on the Boyd House as well, and a little bit about our team and some YouTube videos on there, kind of equipment, a little bit about us. You can also find us on Facebook, either St. Croix Paranormal or Boyd House. And if you want to check us out to book an investigation, you can do like a private message through Facebook at Boyd House or St. Croix Paranormal, or just directly email us at boydhouse217@yahoo.com.
Thank you, Sherry. Yeah, I hope, a lot of people will, you know, check in and reserve a date with you because it sounds like an amazing location. It's like a vacation for paranormal investigators.
Yeah, if you want to think of it that way. But we do, I try to make it homey. It's not spooky. I might have some creepy, vibey stuff around the house. But it's homey. It's got a welcoming feel to it too. So, but it's a cool
Yeah.
place.
Hey, April, thank you for joining us. Um, and I think about, like you said, about the antique. That's another thing. You don't know who might come around next.
Right, right. Because we have a lot of the furniture. We have like an old steamer trunk up in the attic, jewelry, just old toys. I buy, try to buy things that are, back in the day type situations. So just a lot of different things, and who knows where they come from and what kind of energies they bring with, and A couple of the dolls I bought are supposedly haunted. I don't know if they are or not. I just thought they looked creepy, so there they are.
Love you too, April. Yeah, I'm kind of one of those, like, I got invited to go somewhere and they were like, hey, you can stay in the doll room. Hey, I can't go. Because they made the fatal mistake. I'm like, no, not so much. But then they started getting to the part where there were clowns. And I'm like,
Yeah,
that's a hard no. Beth does not do clowns. Like,
I just actually bought 2 clown things because I'm like, I gotta have. I
oh,
don't have any creepy clowns, so I just got 2 clown dolls yet today in the mail. So yeah, I'm gonna hide those somewhere. So when someone opens the door, there they are. It's like they'll be like, oh,
oh, wow, wow, wow. And that's just like when the mannequins come in too. Like, you set up a mannequin somewhere and, they
yeah,
open the closet and there's a mannequin.
yep, yep, yeah. No, I'm not gonna do the mannequin. That's too much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You don't want to give anybody a heart attack.
You do that.
Yeah, that sounds more like a heart attack. That probably would not be good.
Yeah. We've gone to a few places where they have like the statues or they run like a Halloween haunted house out of it as well. I know places that do that and sometimes I've come around the corner and there's this tall statue. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, oh you're just like, oh,
You're
it's
like,
not
excuse me, like, excuse me, who's got the defense? Because this is not working. Yeah, and I can't even bring I've never played well in haunted houses. We the place I lived, was old Campbell County, so it was, a county seat. So a lot of historic stuff, the train, railroad, the courthouse, and everything. Well, they used the old train depot downstairs, upstairs. They'd turn it into a haunted house every year. We're in high school, and that's like the great thing to do. All right, we knew people that were working in there. It wasn't a big deal. I knew I shouldn't have done it, and I said, I'm like, guys, I really don't think it's a good idea. No, no, you're just being a chicken. No, I don't want to hurt anyone. And they were like, what? Sure enough, we got halfway through. Somebody jumped out and I laid them out. Just one thing. Bam. I was like, they were like, oh my God. I'm like, I told y'all. So I was banned from the haunted house until I graduated high school.
that is funny. I've never heard of anybody actually doing
Well, I
that.
did it again as an adult. There's a location that it was a hospital that was shut down, and they used to run 2 haunted houses out of it, one on each side. Well, they made the fatal mistake. They locked me in the morgue. They thought it would be funny. They told the guy, yeah, 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 when she walks in there, and I mean, it smells. I mean, you know what a morgue smells like. I mean, think about one that's been no air, nothing. It's just sitting. They locked me in there. Boy, when I got out, there was 2 dudes out cold. I was like, never again. So I made that my last attempt. I was like, I'm too mean to go to haunted houses, or that, or I just hit first and ask questions later. So, but yes, I appreciate you joining me tonight. I'm going to be checking in with you again soon. I'm going to make sure that I share your information because I want people to come out and check your house out because it sounds more like a home. I mean, it's a very loved location.
Yeah.
And if anybody gets in touch with me, and if you don't want to get in touch with me, people get in touch with her. We get some toys sent up there.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been real fun chatting with you, and we'd love to have you or anybody else interested to come and check out the Boyd House.
Well, some of the team members are already. Where are we going?
You're
We're
going
going
to
to the Boyd House, people. We're
yep,
going to
Boyd,
go.
Minnesota.
Mark, you know what? We'll have to talk about that, Mark. I thank each and every one of you for all your support that you give me every time I do a show. I appreciate the fact that you show some love to my guests, and these are great people. I want to make sure they have a platform to be heard on. I will have. I know I took a little break from the Wicked Women for a little while, but I've got some shows coming up soon, and I have a special announcement that I'll be doing probably in about a week or so. But much love to you all. Thank you so much, and y'all have a blessed evening.
Thank you.